Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today is Tuesday, March 19th, 2024, the first day of spring, although I believe that's this evening. Um, Welcome to our Administrative Matters meeting. We'll call this meeting to order at 9 a.m., and if you would be kind enough to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you all very much. Once again, welcome. Hope you'll have an opportunity to enjoy the nice day, be outside as much as possible. My name is John Kafalis, Commissioner from District 1. I'm joined by Kristen Stevens, Commissioner from District 2, and Commissioner Shattuck McNally will be joining us shortly. I believe she's stuck in traffic somewhere. Also, we have across the way, we have Tessa from the Clerk and Recorder's Office taking notes and recording the meeting, the public meeting. Lorinda Volker, our County Manager, Tom from our Public Affairs Office, and of course Sarah from our County Board of County Commissioners Office. With that, we'll begin with public comment, and I believe we have one person, Paul Gessler, who signed up. Good morning, Paul. Would you like to come on up and offer your 3 minutes of wisdom? And also, well, as Paul is doing that, it's your call, of course. I noticed that our colleague Craig Saker is signed up here, but we know that you're here for a particular discussion item, and I imagine you'll have an opportunity to say a few words if you'd like. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. Paul Gessler. I live in Fort Collins, and I'm here to talk about Restorative Justice Court. The Veterans Monthly Meeting is meeting tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, and I want to invite the commissioners to that meeting. I think we have some more information to share on how we could set up a restorative justice court, not only for veterans, but for everybody. We are in a very difficult time in our country, and I think local government has solutions that the larger federal government does not. So that's all I have to say. I would appreciate all of the commissioners or one of you to be present, and I want to thank Lorinda Volker and the county staff. They've been very diligent in my previous request. Thank you.
Paul, thank you very much. That is the only person who has signed up here. Sarah, has anyone does anyone wish to offer public comment via the phone?
No, Commissioner.
Thank you, Sarah. And so before we close public comment, just want to give folks one last opportunity. If you didn't sign up, you're here in person, and you wish to offer public comment, this would be a great opportunity. All right, then we'll close public comment. And before I see if Commissioner Stevens wants to respond to the public comment that we heard, just wish to acknowledge that Commissioner Shattuck McNally has joined us. Good morning and welcome. Commissioner Stevens, anything you'd like to say?
Just want to thank Paul for coming in and being so diligent about working on community justice issues, and wanted to let him know, and you may know this already, and you may have heard from staff, that we do have quite a few specialty courts. So we are always trying to divert people out of more serious and severe kind of penalties if that's appropriate. And so we have, and I'll probably miss some of the courts, but we have a wellness court. We have a drug court, DUI court.
We do.
and
Competency.
competency court, and we are looking at a veterans court, as you know. So we also have really great opportunities for diversion through community corrections and alternative sentencing. And so I'm happy to sit down with you, Paul, at some point and kind of, or maybe even take a tour, and so you can see some of the work that we're doing. Because I actually wrote a column about it last month in the paper. It only got picked up in the Loveland Reporter Herald, but about the great work that we're doing in community corrections and the treatment that people can get, and that's often in lieu of being in jail or prison. And so very great work that our colleagues are doing in those facilities. And so, but I appreciate, Paul, your passion for justice, and I share that same passion, and would like to, I think we would all like to get a veterans court going. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. I'll just add that, first of all, it is in my schedule to attend the Veterans Together meeting tomorrow, so hopefully that works out. Also, you'll be pleased to know that our VSO, Veteran Service Officer Lee Cooper, is going to be joining us for some of our community conversations to familiarize people with the services that the VSO offers. And so I believe he's one of my guests, my guest, in Wellington the first Thursday in April. That's right. And also, he'll be coming up to Red Feather Lake. So, trying to get Lee Cooper out into the community so folks know what we offer through the county to help our veterans. And what Commissioner Stevens said about the various problem solving or specialty courts is correct. And certainly, I'm curious to better understand what your thinking is regarding a restorative justice court. And also, I think we've directed you to our director of community justice alternatives for conversations and all of that. So happy to continue the conversation as you wish. Yes,
When you're done, can I just add one more thing, Commissioner?
please. I'm done.
And sorry, Paul, there was a bad accident on one of the intersections, so it was like 10 lights before I got through the intersection. I'm glad everyone was okay. Also, Commissioner Stevens and I attended a event at the Veterans Administration building in Loveland with several folks with Senator Hickenlooper and staff, the Veterans Administration staff, and a lot of folks who are doing, veterans who are doing nonprofits to help with social isolation, behavioral health, and we all were sharing, and there's a lot of effort to go on to connect veterans and also make sure they're getting services, and how we reach out to where they're at and help them connect, and especially in the area of behavioral health and connection, and trying to address social isolation in that population. So I wanted to share that as well, that we've been active and kind of connected to that, and I wanted to just make sure that there's other things that maybe haven't been as publicized, but there's a lot that we are doing to kind of trying to connect all the partners together, because this is going to take a big effort to address the needs in our community, and especially with our veterans. So thank you.
Thank you. And again, thanks for the discussion. We'll move on to our next agenda item, and that is approval of the minutes. We've had an opportunity to review the minutes thanks to the Clerk and Recorder's Office, which assembles them and presents them to us the week before for review. Commissioner Stevens, would you offer the motion, please, to approve the minutes?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the minutes for the week of March 11th, 2024.
Thank you. That's a proper motion. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That passes 3-0. We'll turn it over to Sarah Martin, who will give us who present to us the upcoming schedule next week.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for March 25th through the 29th, 2024. On Monday, March 25th, from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., there will be a work session with Mark Pfaffinger, Support Services Director regarding internal services, in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources, in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., there will be land use items with the development review team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m., there will be land use items with the development review team. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be in the hearing room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. On Tuesday, March 26th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an administrative matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. On Wednesday, March 27th, from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Shattuck McNally will attend the North Fort Collins Business Association meeting at the Rocky Mountain Innisphere at 320 East Vine Drive in Fort Collins. From 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioners may attend the Department of Natural Resources all-staff meeting at the Northside Aslan Community Center at 112 East Willow Street in Fort Collins. From 8:45 to 9:15 a.m., Commissioner Stevens will attend the Larimer County New Employee Orientation in the hearing room on the first floor. From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Big Thompson Watershed Health Partnership meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at the Larimer County Department of Natural Resources at 1800 South County Road 31 in Loveland or virtually via Zoom. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., there will be a work session regarding carryover funds from 2023 into 2024 in the Commissioners' Conference Room on the second floor. From 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be at the Carter Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the Fair Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it's at the McKee 4-H Youth and Community Building at 5280 Arena Circle in Loveland or virtually via Zoom. On Thursday, March 28th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Larimer Suicide Fatality Review Board meeting with the Larimer County Coroner at 1600 Prospect Parkway and Suite 101 in Fort Collins. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will host a community conversation for the Red Feather Lakes community. The guest will be Reagan Cloudman, Public Affairs Specialist for the United States Forest Service, Arapahoe and Roosevelt National Forest, and Pawnee Nation Grassland, who will give updates on pile burning, recreational sport shooting, and the Black Diamond Landscape Resiliency and Risk Reduction Project at 58 Firehouse Lane in Red Feather Lakes. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens and Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together, Natural Resources and Wildfire and Transportation Committee meetings. From 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Red Feather Lakes Planning Advisory Committee meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 44 Firehouse Lane in Red Feather or virtually via Zoom. From 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally will attend the Regional Opioid Abatement Council meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it'll be in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor or virtually via Zoom. From 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may participate in the Virtual Non-Attainment Area Air Pollution Mitigation Enterprise Board meeting. From 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioners Kafalis and Shattuck McNally may attend the Murphy Center Health Clinic ribbon cutting ceremony at 242 Conifer Street in Fort Collins. From 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may attend the Open Lands Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it's at the Horsetooth Area Information Center at 4200 West County Road 38E in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will speak at the Family Leadership Training Institute class at the First Presbyterian Church at 531 South College Avenue in Fort Collins. On Friday, March 29th, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Kafalis will attend the Larimer County Justice Center Court Security meeting at 201 LaPorte Avenue in Fort Collins. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together Housing and Fiscal Reform Committee meetings. That's it.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, observations? Commissioner Stevens?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sarah, on the 27th, for the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusionary Board meeting, that meeting is a meeting I won't be attending this time. They're having a special session with the City of Fort Collins Human Relations Board, and it will be kind of a we're just going to let them have their meeting. So won't be there on that day. And then also on the Friday the 29th, I'll be up at the Livermore Community Center, meeting with residents up there who I think a lot of them know that I'm coming, but it's just a conversation, and it starts at 6. Just want to make sure I have the right date. I know it's Good Friday, but I'm going to be up there from 6 to 7. Just anybody wants to come up and talk. So
Thank you.
thanks. And then also, sorry, there was one other one. Oh, no, you did. Okay, thanks. I thought maybe opiate abatement was on there. Thursdays are starting to be busy days, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. The only thing needs to be added, and maybe it's been added to the electronic version of this, is on Wednesday evening, March 27th, from 5:30 to 7 p.m. We'll have our next Livermore community conversation, focusing on highway safety, and that'll be at the community hall up there in Livermore.
Thank you.
And Jordan has more details if you need them, Sarah. Anything else, colleagues? Okay, we'll move on to the next item. And again, thanks a lot, Sarah. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I think by now folks know that try to get through this in an appropriate manner. It's basically routine administrative things that we need to approve. And so I go through the consent agenda, and there is the option for a commissioner to pull something off the consent agenda, but otherwise we go through it, and then there's a motion to approve the entire consent agenda, the various items that are listed. Again, these are not controversial, or they're not meant to be, and they're more of an administrative nature. So with that, let me go through the items, and I'll ask my colleagues if they want to pull something off, and then we'll go with the motion. So the first two items on the consent agenda. Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in the details of all this, the 105 pages of the consent agenda, you're more than welcome to look them up online, and you can see the details. The first two items are abatements, petition for abatement or refund of taxes. And this is where a property owner is receiving a refund amount in excess of $10,000 based on a review of the property value and the assessment. The first one is for tax year 2021, and the second one is for tax year 2022. And they're both for a commercial enterprise, exceeding a refund amount of $10,000. Moving on to agreements, we have the State of Colorado Intergovernmental Agreement, CMS 189584, and this has been submitted by our folks at the Department of Natural Resources. This is a statement of a work contract with Colorado Parks and Wildlife, provides funding for the Aquatic Nuisance Species Program. So this has to do with any watercraft that are brought by trailer to either Carter Lake or Horsetooth Reservoir. They have to go through an inspection to make sure that they're not bringing in any type of aquatic nuisances that could be harmful to our reservoirs. The total dollar amount is $650,000. $350,000 of that comes from Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Then we move on to appointments. There are two recommended reappointments. One is to the Community Corrections Advisory Board, and there are various folks that will be reappointed. Stacy Schaefer, Lieutenant Schaefer, Chief Judge Susan Blanco, Greg Ott, Jeff Swoboda, Chief Jeff Swoboda, Matthew Landers, and District Attorney Gordon McLaughlin. And these are folks that are reappointed as of July 1st, 2024, ending June 30th, 2026. The next is a reappointment of Richard Seaworth to the Box Elder Basin Regional Stormwater Authority, and that reappointment begins April 1 of this year and ends June 30th of 2027. Next, we move on to deed of dedication from CH Realty X Legacy MHC, Denver Lago Vista LLC for right-of-way needed for project number 8096. This has to do with a manufactured housing community on West 57th Street, and our engineering folks have been diligently working to improve the public safety by having pedestrian access along West 57th, and this is a right-of-way. Moving on, liquor licenses. We have three liquor license renewals. One is Carter Lake Marina, Inc. in Loveland, a fermented malt beverage approval and issuance. The second is a liquor license special event permit, 6% at the Elks Lodge. Some event that's coming up, approval and issuance. Third is a liquor license renewal, Mountain Whitewater. They are the ones that have the Paddler's Pub up in North Fort Collins. Beer and wine, license type approval and issuance. The next, we're almost there, folks. The next is miscellaneous. The first item is basically a report or a memo regarding Larimer County Department of Human Services payments from October 1st, 2023 through December 31st, 2024. These are payments made by our Department of Human Services for things like various human services related support programs, and these are funds that come from the state, from the feds, and then we pay those out. The next items, there are 8 stipulations, adjustments to property values. All of them are for tax year 2023, with the exception of one that is for tax year 2020. Again, those are stipulations where there's been an adjustment, an agreement by the assessor, clerk and recorder's office, and the petitioner, property owner. Finally, we have a resolution. Poudre Valley Fire Protection District updated fire impact fees. We've had various conversations about this. We have an intergovernmental agreement, IGA, with the Poudre Valley Fire Protection District, and this is an emergency services impact fee, and those fees will be increasing accordingly. That's it, folks. Colleagues, do either of you wish to remove anything from the consent agenda? Okey doke. Then I believe Commissioner Shattuck McNally, it's your turn to offer the motion, please.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the consent agenda for March 19th, 2024.
Great. Thank you very much. Proper motion. I suspect there's no further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That passes 3-0. Moving right along, we do not have any listed guests, commissioner guests, so we can move into our 2 discussion items. The first one is a grant agreement regarding a sub-award dollar amount to Realities for Children, their Healing Sanctuary campus, and I believe we'll ask our esteemed Human and Economic Health Director to come on forward and introduce herself and tell us what you got to say.
Wonderful. Thank you, Commissioners. As stated, I am Laura Walker. I serve as the Human and Economic Health Director for the county, and I've also had the privilege of assisting bringing project ideas to the commissioners for investment of the American Rescue Plan Act funds that were granted to our county by the federal government as a result of the pandemic, to help our community recover better, to also improve a lot of the system gaps that existed prior to the pandemic, and to help those populations that were disproportionately affected by that crisis that we had in our country. And so another project has come across that I'm very excited about. Realities for Children is a very unique organization in our community, and I have been working with Mr. Craig Secker for many, many years. He is the executive director and founder of Realities for Children, and they provide a number of services to youth in our community when really all other systems and options have failed for those children. And so very direct benefit to our Human Services Department for a lot of the youth that are involved in our child welfare program, have had many, many successes and support from Realities for Children over the years. And this particular project is support for those youth who have been through serious cases of abuse and are needing trauma-informed care to really get back to a state of normalcy for them. And it's very difficult to have children complete this kind of treatment. It's very intense, and providers often have kids who aren't responding well and don't have the right setting in order to have the children feel comfortable enough to complete their treatment. And so I'm going to have Mr. Secker give you a little more context about the project that's underway through Realities for Children to help this population, and take any questions that the board may have.
Thank you, Laura. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit more about Realities for Children Healing Sanctuary.
Would you introduce yourself for the record?
I apologize. Yes, I'm
affiliation?
Craig Secker. I'm the Executive Director of Realities for Children Charities in Larimer County.
And just for the heck of it, would you spell your last name?
It's Secher.
Thanks.
You bet. No, I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit more about the Healing Sanctuary we've been identifying. As most of you know, we're a nonprofit organization that provides for the emergency and healing needs of children that have been abused, neglected, abandoned, or at risk in Larimer County. We focus on emergency services, healing support, and breaking the cycle. A big part of what our role is in the community is identifying where there are gaps in services so that we can be there and provide that support, not only through Larimer County Child Protection Services, but many of our partner organizations that serve this population in our community. One of the areas that we identified as a big weakness since 2019 are the issues that we're seeing around high trauma cases of physical abuse and sexual assault in our community. In fact, since 2019, we've seen child exploitations increase in Fort Collins by 9 times, near 900%. Cases of sexual assault on a child are up 26% in the past 2 years. And in the state of Colorado, 24% of all violent victimizations now involve sexual assault, and the rate of sexual assault is 4 times higher for juveniles than for adults. So we're noticing this increased need for services and the impact it's having, and the mental health impact it's having on the children and the population that we're focused on providing for. A couple of those statistics to put it into perspective is 33% of all rape and sexual assault survivors contemplate suicide, over 13% attempting, and that's much higher when we're dealing with juveniles. Sexual assault survivors are 10 times more likely to become drug dependent, and 38% of sexual assault survivors struggle to function at work and function at school and be productive citizens in our community because of what they've endured and what they've overcome. The focus of the Healing Sanctuary is to address these issues and to really focus on the why we're having so many struggles with the mental health impact with our children. In fact, in working with our therapists that we partner with in services, they're identifying 80 to 90% of children that are brave enough to begin the therapy that they need for their healing fail to complete it as a result of resources and services available to support them. And this is something that we can combat. And the opportunity approach came to us a little over a year ago with the opportunity to, with the donor, to purchase the extending 4 acres to our existing campus. And that is being dedicated specifically to the healing support services for this population of high trauma and sexual assault survivors in our community, and being designed around the services that our therapists have identified as the greatest needs. So we'll be including, of course, a healing center that's being designed from the ground up by therapists for therapy. It's designed to focus on the trigger issues that would stop a child from continuing to receive their services. It also allows them to have the direct access to outdoors on this 4-acre campus that immerses them in nature and the services that they need there, from healing gardens that we'll be providing to our therapy farm with small animals for our children. We'll have private waterways and opportunities in a very private setting that allows them to really have a place that's designed for them, including an inspiration center that will provide trauma-informed care and wraparound support services that will help support our children and families in getting the support services that they need so that they continue their healing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Craig. Colleagues, do you have any questions, comments, observations for our director colleague or both of our director colleagues, Commissioner Stevens?
Craig, thank you so much for being here. So when is the build out, and it may be in our packet, but when do you anticipate things will be built out and the campus will be complete?
Yeah, we've seen just a tremendous community response on this after launching it publicly just less than a year ago, almost a year ago on this, and it is our intention to begin construction on the Healing Center yet this year.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to thank you for the work that you do. I always say to our staff that does child protection that it's some of the most important work that we do in our community, and I would extend that to the work that you're doing because it's it seems like it's a labor of love for you. And I've been to the campus that you have. I think I was there last when we were doing a drive for a diaper drive or something like that. And then you're gracious enough to walk me around the campus. And so it is a good healing place, and it sounds like it will be even better once you get done with the work that you plan. So thank you for the work that you're doing. It seems like an extension of the work we're doing. And we have heard from our staff and from Laura that, the acuity of cases, the severity is increasing and did so during COVID. So I can't think of a better way to spend what is some of the last of our American Rescue Plan dollars to help children and help families heal. So thank you for your work, and thank you, Laura, for bringing this forward.
Thank you. I appreciate your words.
Thanks, Commissioner. Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Craig, it's great to see you today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your work. I think that was the last time I was on your campus too, and we had I think it was diapers and other products, and I appreciate the warm hospitality. And I think it was a joint venture with our Human Services Department. It's kind of working together. So I look forward to coming back. I wanted to ask real quick, could you clarify again? I want to make sure I heard correctly, the 900% or 9 times increase in which category?
Yes, this is from the Criminal Investigations Divisions of the Fort Collins Police Department. Reported since 2019, cases of child exploitation were up nearly 9 times.
Wow. Okay, that's really important for the public to hear that again. I really think your kind of mission is, or your, I want to say tagline, but it's your statement is "No Child Forgotten," and you're right. There are a lot of these cases are such important cases that have no other place to really go. I really appreciate the work that you're doing to make sure there is no child forgotten. And I think nationally with the debate and unfortunate look at cutting in victim services by almost 40%. I know your work will become even more important as we go forward, and hopefully that will be addressed. And so I know that you'll probably see more of an increase in need for your services. And I just want to thank you that you're expanding and making important outdoor area. I have a very strong belief in connecting to nature for behavioral health and mental health things. I hike over 100 miles in Rocky, and I can tell you when I get outside and when I don't get outside, I can tell because it just feels after a 5, 6, 7 mile hike, I almost feel like, 50 pounds lighter sometimes. I wish it kind of looked like that, but it's really great to connect. So I'm excited to hear about that. Tell me about the gardens. Are you looking to make them a little xeriscaped, or are the kids going to be helping plant? And What does that look like?
Yeah, the Healing Gardens is when we looked at all of the areas that we saw whereas we could promote psychological well-being. And I appreciate your statements about nature. I truly believe a big part of this. In fact, many of our therapists talk about it's wonderful we're going to have a customized healing center versus a converted office space. But the ability to have each of those rooms go directly to the outside, and a lot of them are saying, I think much of our therapy is going to be outside of the therapy rooms where we can walk, we can talk, we can sit, and we can do that in a private space and have something that's this beautiful. And I look forward to giving a tour to everybody on that if you'd like to see where we're going to be building all of this. But the interactive therapy gardens, as most of you probably are aware of, they promote psychological well-being. Working in the gardens is a proven avenue for survivors to heal and cope with trauma, reducing depression and negative feelings. And so we're looking at creating areas that are just beautiful areas for children to be able to walk through and enjoy, as well as creating interactive areas with some of our partners where the kids can actually get into the dirt and have hands-on and be part of that. And yes, there'll certainly be a lot of xeriscaping. This is a 4-acre campus, but it's going to be designed that these children can have interaction opportunities, such as with the gardens, interacting with nature.
That's wonderful to hear, and just appreciate kind of sharing that. I was reading through the packet and looking at some of the funding and stuff, so I'm really excited to see this come together. I think it's kind of timely with what we're seeing, maybe potentially cuts in other services that, and hopefully, we can help those other agencies kind of weather this change as we go forward. But I just want to thank you again. Really important work, and our children are our future, and if we're not taking, care of our children in such need, as you stated so eloquently with all those stats, that they're more at risk for their future, and we'll eventually, either way, going to have to be helping them. But it's so much better to be far upstream and try to early access and intervention is so critical. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm excited that we're, these are a little bit of our last, American Rescue Plan dollars. Laura, thank you for your diligent guidance and navigating as we come to this unique and unprecedented time that we've been trying to make sure we're doing the greatest good with what we have. And I'm really excited to see this progress. So thanks for being here today.
Thank
and answer
you.
my questions.
But one thing that wasn't mentioned is this resource will be freely accessible to every organization that works with this population of children. So this is not unique to one entity. This will be for the entire demographic of at-risk youth in our community.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I have one question and then a couple of quick comments. So the details of this agreement are, of course, in the agreement. And I believe we're moving $500,000 to help with the capital campaign. How will that $500,000 investment in our community help you to achieve what you're trying to achieve here?
The immediate use of those resources is going to be going into our healing center, the therapy center, and the grounds that surround it. So this is going to be at the very heart of where we're going to be providing the therapy.
Will it help with construction design?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry for clarity. Yes, this is going to be specific to the renovation and design of the therapy center and the grounds around it.
And it will help to leverage other funds that I think you mentioned earlier, Craig, that you're making good progress in achieving the goals of the cost of the project.
Yes, sir. That's what we're excited about. And of course, I think it speaks volumes to the investment of the county and what these services are going to be providing.
Great. Thank you very much. And my comments are just to express gratitude to both of you. As was mentioned, Laura Walker, you there's a very meticulous process that we go through to decide the American Rescue Plan Act funds that we received. I think originally it was something like $69 million. And then, we've transformational projects and then things that perhaps smaller dollar amounts, although $500,000 is rather significant. But there is a meticulous process of how we decide, what is the best way to use those public dollars. And, you've been instrumental, of course, in helping shepherd a lot of these projects. So thank you for that. Thank you for the work you've done for a long time in the community. And, let's see. Hang on. Do we have to do something? Yes, we do. So we have to approve a motion for the grant agreement. And then I'm going to sort of go out on a limb. As many know, I'm not necessarily the one who seeks to have my picture taken. and we don't necessarily have anything to hold up. I did wear my Save the Children tie today that might serve a purpose. And in the packet, we have a nice handout from the Realities for Children that kind of has a rendering of what this might look like. So if folks are in agreement, if our public affairs guy thinks it's a good idea, we'll pause in a moment to take a picture if you're okay with that. And you have to be in the picture if I have to be in the picture. So with that, almost forgot, we got to do a motion, and I believe it's Commissioner, take a breath, Commissioner Stevens, would you please offer the motion?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I move to approve the grant agreement for the American Rescue Plan Collaborative Projects Grant Subaward for the Realities for Children Charities Healing Campus.
Wonderful, thank you. Proper motion. Any further discussion, colleagues? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That passes 3-0. We'll pause there for a moment, a couple of minutes to, what the heck, to do a picture, if you guys are okay with that. Pause for a couple of minutes for a photograph. Very exciting that we're able to help Realities for Children with their sanctuary campus. We'll now move on to our second discussion item, and we'll ask Heidi if you would come up and talk to us about our where we're at with our Climate Smart Future Ready initiative, our iCare initiative, perhaps. The dashboard. There was a really excellent event yesterday at Colorado State University to celebrate this transition, and I'm sure you'll get into it, but I just want to reinforce that we do our best to be involved in things that make a difference in people's lives, like making sure kids are healing and safe and preparing, adapting, and mitigating with regard to matters related to climate change. Good morning, Heidi.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Heidi Pruis, Climate and Sustainability Manager for Larimer County. Appreciate this opportunity to share with you and with the public the transition from a planning effort to create the Climate Smart Future Ready plan into action. And it has been a journey. And a journey means that it is a living document, and you never know what might come from the next meeting and as we continue to collaborate with our partners in the community where that will take us. So thank you for joining us on this journey. And I want to just share a little bit with you about where we have been. Of course, this initiative for Climate Smart Future Ready began in 2020, and it has been a multi-phased effort in which we have had numerous partners, numerous working group members participate from the community, nonprofit sector, private sector, our academic sector, and of course, our own county staff have dedicated quite a few hours in these work group meetings over the last several years to create what we think is a good suite of strategies, actions, and tactics to help us reduce our greenhouse gas emission and create some quality of life improvements within Larimer County that are resulting from the impacts of climate change. So I'm going to share a little bit of that with you. The objectives that we were trying to reach in creating this climate smart plan include improving air quality, include improving human health that is impacted by that air quality, driving forward resiliency and equity within our community. And as a result, we are reacting a little bit to these kind of news articles that you continue to see popping up here in Colorado around our estimated unhealthy air days, bringing attention to the fact that this is a phenomenon that is happening in our community, and how is it that we're going to address that. And we do know that the changing climate impacts health, human health, above and beyond everything else that we're working on. And so we're trying to pay attention to each one of these components as we developed the strategies and actions within the plan. We did create a greenhouse gas inventory of our community, which can be found on our website, which I'm going to share with you here in a moment. That greenhouse gas inventory identified the sectors that are producing the greenhouse gas emissions that we can then focus our efforts on and know where is that level of effort really needed. When we did some modeling of the top 10 actions within this Climate Smart Plan, we did find within that modeling that there is an estimated baseline for emission reduction should we implement all the actions in this plan. And that is a 45% baseline, a greenhouse gas emission reduction by 2030. So our executive team said, that's great. Let's plan not just for that 45% greenhouse gas emission reduction, but to exceed that and strive for a 60% greenhouse gas reduction by 2030. So this is the path that we are on. This is the journey that we are on. We do have a series of focus areas. We have the built environment, which includes energy, focus in our building sector, circular economy, which is that waste component, business and jobs. Of course, we're concerned about workforce development in these areas in particular to help us get the work done. Mobility of people, goods, and services is another one of those prime categories. And then, of course, the natural environment, water, and agriculture, which does include disaster mitigation and response as well. You'll see there in the center that we have several interconnection strategies that bring these focus areas together. Those include strategies around equity, diversity, inclusion, our communication component, and our land use component are all included because they do connect those other focus areas. We have launched, as of yesterday, our website is now available, and I'm just going to migrate over to the live website so that you can take a quick look around our dashboard. Is it showing? Maybe? I'm going to come back to this and click there and see if it'll go from there. It's not going to transition over. So I'll just work through the slides that are available for you. The dashboard that has been created is an interactive dashboard. One of the things that we decided to do was not produce a hard copy plan that is something static on the shelf. Realizing that this is a journey, that this is an interactive process, we've created a dashboard instead. The dashboard has quite a lot of detail involved with it, including segments of metrics within each one of the components that I highlighted in our focus areas. It includes links to the resources that our partners are contributing and what our efforts are there. And it also includes a progress bar so that you can track our progress over time. You can see where it is that we're going and how it is that we will be able to measure our successes, where we need to maybe step back and realize progress going forward in a different way with our partners. So who has been helping us create this plan? We do have a whole suite of partners. First, I'll start with thanking our county departments who have stepped up to be champions in this effort. These champion departments are not the sole owners of making sure that the actions and tactics are completed. They are the conveners. They are bringing together those partners in our community that will help us implement this plan. So thank you very much to our county department champions for stepping up. We also have this suite of community partners. We are so fortunate here in Larimer County to have nonprofit sector, private sector, and academic partners coming to the table, stepping up, maybe in an area where Larimer County government is not the lead champion or the lead expert in that topic, but we have these community partners who want to partner with us. So the street goes both ways on this journey, and we're very fortunate to have these folks joining us and dedicating their time with us. So I hope as you see them in the community that you will help thank them for participating. We did have over 50 entities who were part of creating this plan going forward, and these entities are also continuing to participate within our action teams. We currently have about 15 action teams working on these actions, on the strategies and actions. So it takes a village. Here is your village. And there are more coming on every day, more partners who are joining the efforts that we are undertaking. So thank you very much to them and their time. So this is where we have been. We have been through this first quarter of 2024, finalizing this plan development and the dashboard, which I hope that you will go visit. Beginning this next quarter, we have a communications campaign that is rolling out. You will be able to sign up for our newsletter on the website. There's also a suite of videos that are available depending on your audience and what is it that you would like to be focusing on as you communicate this out into the community. So I hope that you'll take a look at those. And our action teams are now some being formulated, some have already begun meeting. It's very exciting. They're prioritizing which of the tactics that they will be undertaking in this first year because it is a 5-year effort. So there's much work to be done and they're up for the task. So that's what's going to be coming up. Sarah's not here. I think I'm going to skip maybe the video will work. Let's try the video. Oh, but you can't hear it. Yeah. I encourage you to go.
We all
there it
need to
goes.
take action. Today's youth are our future leaders, and we want to work with you to tackle the tough challenges facing our communities. In Larimer County, we're working with our community members to take actions that improve quality of life for everyone, like protecting our natural areas, creating better options for transportation and affordable housing, and improving food access and food security. We invite you to join us and help lead the way. Check out our Climate Smart Future Ready website to learn more about how you can make a difference and be part of the solution.
Thank you. So this is one of the campaigns that you will be seeing on the, there it goes, on the Larimer County social media pages. These will be rolling out and you'll be seeing more of these. This is the QR code and the website that is available. I do hope that folks will go visit that. And I would just like to take 1 second to thank my colleague, Abby Stapleton, who's in the audience, for helping make this happen, putting forth some of the communication campaigns and participating in our action teams as well. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Heidi and Abby. Well done. A great event yesterday. Colleagues, questions or comments? Let's see. Commissioner Shaddock McNally.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Heidi and Abby and team, well done yesterday. It was great to celebrate, and I think it's important that we take a moment, pause, and think back to where we were just even in 2021 when Heidi, we the Board of County Commissioners and the hired, and brought you on to do this work, and now looking forward, here we have, over I think it's 90 partners involved and throughout the community. That's tremendous. And also they've stuck with it. And we've had a lot of, they haven't just shown up at one meeting, but they have been involved in these work groups. And I've seen photos of that, and they have created, well, you all have created, we have created a tremendous document that some of the experts in the room pulled me aside and said, just to let you know, I saw your eyes open, but they said, just so you know, they've not been involved in an effort like this before, where they actually feel like it wasn't just work to create a plan, to say we had a document, a plan, but actually this feels something that is going to be actionable and immediately and make it a tremendous immediate impact. And so, and to see that excitement and wanting to stay engaged from partners and in the business sector and our nonprofit sector, but across the whole range of folks here in our county, is really a testament to you all and you, Heidi, and bringing on Abby and the work that you guys have done to really engage these important partners. And they are our partners because we all live here together and we breathe the same air and we have the same conditions and we have to experience the same natural disasters and together. And so it's really important. And I want to thank CSU. I think it was Courtney and
Russ Schumacher. Courtney Schultz.
Courtney Schultz, who I kind of encounter with the wildfire mitigation forest health space a lot. And I want to thank them for their expertise, because that's also a critical piece, is to have the subject matter experts and the academic expertise to help guide us into what we need to do to kind of really go forward and have those not hard, but they're important conversations, because this is going to take action. We can't just talk about it anymore. It's got to be action. And I really felt hopeful yesterday, thinking how much we've come in just 2 years, really, a little over 2 years, and just pause and celebrate. And I'm looking now at this timeline when you talk about actionable groups and looking at the other two boxes that you had on that slide where we're going next. And I think we talked about, there's all kinds of things that we're doing next as a board and internally, but also externally. So when will we pause again just to kind of take stock of how it's going? Because obviously you've built this plan. You have steps, actionable steps. Our amazing staff and directors in all those departments I have experienced that already, taking steps to make changes, even though they're small. They will accumulate, make big impacts. And I'm speaking about Department of Natural Resources. They all are doing great work, but especially thanking Department of Natural Resources for making immediate change. So when will we look back? Because sometimes when you make a plan and you actually test drive it and go you kind of tweak it along the way. So I'm just curious about that plan.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you for raising the existing work that's going on and the ongoing making sure things are really happening. There is a plan to come back to the board with quarterly updates on how it is that we are making progress or where we might be getting a little stuck. And those quarterly updates will be coordinated with the updates that you will be receiving through your strategic plan, because as the community may be aware, Josh Fudge has been here presenting the strategic plan to you, and there is a connection between Climate Smart, Future Ready, and the strategic plan. So there will be constant, regular updates coming to you and to the community, because we will also be communicating through the newsletter updates that will be going out on a regular basis and updating that website. So it's an interactive website in that you can go on and you can click and discover the details behind what is in the metric, but those metrics themselves will be updated on a regular basis. So those updates are going to be coming to you.
Thank you. I have other questions. I brought, the hard copies we're able to take home. I appreciate it immediately. They're already in Spanish. That's tremendous. Just really want to thank you. This is something I wondered how we were ever going to wrap. It just seemed a little over daunting, I guess, when we first started, but just to see how quickly we've gotten to this spot and actually being actionable is, again, I use the word tremendous, but it's really well done, both you and Abby. And I just can't thank our partners enough, because they gave of their time, talent, and treasures, and how much their partnership and involvement was, I think, a very important piece to help us move forward and get to this spot. And I want to thank all of our department heads and our departments and all of our community partners, because we are better together and stronger together. And this is giving me a lot of hope today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Stevens.
Yeah, I don't have any questions, just a few comments. I think Commissioner Shattuck McNally covered a lot, but certainly thank you for your work. We've come a long way since Commissioner Kafalis first envisioned having a climate action plan and made that happen. And then, of course, we did hire you, and you were a team of one for a long time. And so we're glad that Abby has joined you and is able to do some of the work. But I think Commissioner Shattuck McNally is absolutely right in saying that, this is a testament to your leadership that we were able to get so many community partners to join us and then stay involved as we worked through how to do this for our community. And now we have the dashboard, and we're ready to get to the action part, which is, the difficult part, because some of it is finding funding and for some of these programs, and some of it is policies that, will change, the way we live and do, business and travel around our community. And so, the commitment has to be not only from 50 or 90 people now, but really from the entire Larimer County population, which is also daunting. But I think people are ready to do this work. I like the idea of having the website with the metrics on it, so we know where we're at and we know how well we're doing, and people can gauge that. And I do appreciate the partners as well. And one thing that I talk a lot about when we talk about climate change is environmental justice, and how climate change affects people who are poorer or communities of color harder than it affects the rest of the community. So we know that those folks are often closer to highways and closer to industrial facilities, and they have, for many years, I would say centuries since the Industrial Revolution started, borne the brunt of bad policies throughout the nation. And so, as we do this work, I'm so glad that you've paid attention to that, and, talking about how we do that work in conjunction with this. I think that they can't be separate things, and you and Abby are dedicated to that work, and I really appreciate that piece, because I think that as the sort of intersection between the work that we do for human beings and the work we do for our planet is really important. And so, and some of the maps that you weren't able to show today, but I know show disproportionately impacted communities and what those health disparities look like. So thank you again for the work, and upward and onward. And some of this work will be our work in creating policies and looking at our budget to see what work we can do. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all the good work. I have a question. That is, could you or Abby tell us a little bit about the iCare program, what that stands for, why that's important, and how that complements our perhaps more community-facing, climate-smart, future-ready action plan.
I sure could. Thank you for the opportunity. Just as many organizations, private sector, and our municipal partners have adopted their internal climate action plan for how it is that they are going to represent leadership and good stewardship in the community when it comes to climate work and sustainability work, Larimer County has also an internal plan. We call it the iCare Plan. It stands for Internal Climate Action, Resilience, and Education. It is a robust plan, excuse me, with SMART goals so that we have assimilated our data. We have analyzed what it is that we can do as a government entity in the way that we behave for the community, demonstrating what it is that the actions in Climate Smart Future Ready hope to achieve. And so that action plan is underway. You also receive biannual updates on that internal plan, and that is things like how is it that we're addressing our fleet internally? How is it that we're addressing the energy use in our buildings? What about our waste and recycling that we're providing as we are public buildings, and how is it not only for our activities but those of the residents who visit us? So we're taking a look at those actions and promoting those. In addition to the programmatic kind of work that is being done within each department that is highlighted within Climate Smart. For instance, you have a water plan that is actively being worked on. That is part of our Climate Smart Future Ready plan. And so it's not just how we operate every day as a government entity, but how is it that our programs are also paying attention to this work and being integrated into the goals of the community. So we have multiple ways, multiple touch points in order to get to these goals.
Thank you for sharing that. And also we saw the first sustainability or iCare newsletter that was put out. I thought it was very well done, very comprehensive. So thank you for that.
Congratulations to Abby for putting that together.
Yes, indeed. Before we move on, I wonder if, Lorinda, is there anything you'd like to share on where we're at with this process? It's pretty significant.
You all have done a lot of this, but I really want to stress this is a two-person team, so clearly this is not the county's plan. This is a community plan, and Abby and Heidi are master collaborators. They really are great at convening the right people who care about things, put them in a room together and let them generate ideas and have ownership in this. It's our job to shepherd this forward, to report to the community, to host the website. But this isn't just the county working on something. This is a lot of engaged people, businesses, other municipalities, nonprofits, and certainly our internal departments, all caring about the future and how we move together. And I think that really should be celebrated. It's hard work, and it's taken 2 years to get to where we are, but we are here because of your efforts, and so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lorinda. Well, I believe we've had a good conversation. The work continues. We'll move on to our next agenda item. You all have a nice day.
Thank you so much for your time.
I'm sure you'll be using the stairs rather than the elevator.
Of course.
Good. Oh yes, a county manager update. You're on, Lorinda.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I'm busy all week, but one of the striking things I do is when our leadership team gets together and talks about policies and programs and ways the county can work harder. And so I thought today I might talk to you a little bit about our Strategic Leadership Committee, which is our service area directors and representatives from our elected offices. We meet monthly. This group is responsible for commenting on new policy or major changes to policy and talking about new programs before it goes to our department heads to provide feedback, to you all to provide feedback. This is sort of that think tank group. And there are two things that we met about last week that I think were really striking to the community. So we're always looking at our policies. We're always trying to be responsive to what the community needs. And our emergency manager realized that we don't have a really clear description for dealing with volunteers from faith-based organizations inside our disaster policy. So she has spent probably 6 months working with the VOAD, the volunteer organizations active in disasters, to figure out how do we work this into the policy, because in real life we know that they are important parts of our recovery efforts. They go out into the community. They're one of those VOAD organizations that is really critical to the success of our recovery. And so you'll see in the next couple of weeks that policy will come to you, and it specifically lists out faith-based organizations and their important roles. So that's one important discussion that happened. The second is around data governance. So we've been using data as a county for some time, learning how to use it, learning where it has value. An important example is the way that we prioritize some of the broadband projects for you all to consider. We pulled data, aggregate data, so non-identifiable data from our Human Services Department of people receiving food assistance payments. So we rolled it up to the zip code and we said, these are the areas of the county that are receiving these payments. We overlaid that with data. These are the areas that do not have good connectivity, that cannot afford to do so on their own, and how do we create sort of a balance rather than provide county funds just across the county. And so that's one important way that we used data appropriately, safely, and continued to keep its confidentiality for its original use, but we're able to use what we had in our own systems to make better decisions. So that's beginning to happen more and more across the organization, and we have a data governance team, a group of people across the organization who represent the departments and offices who have this kind of data, to create rules and structure so that we make sure that we don't inadvertently share data that shouldn't be shared, or that we have confidentiality agreements in place, and that it's used appropriately. And so there was a very robust discussion about going forward with this, a lot of support from across the organization, of course, for making sure this happens, and also for protecting the purpose the data was originally provided to us for. So some of it is public, it's on our website, think property data. Other data is not, so think birth dates, social security numbers, those kind of things. And so deciding how to write a policy and create a structure around that will be important discussions going forward, but we have a great team working on it who's very thoughtful. Of course, the county attorney's office is involved to make sure the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and that we don't cross a line, but that we make the best use of that for the benefit of the community. So that was an important thing I wanted to share with you all. It's exciting to me that we're really creating more structure around this so that we can be better at not duplicating requests for data from our community members, and also making the best use in decision-making.
Thank you, Lorinda. Colleagues, do you have any questions or comments for our county manager? Great. We'll now move on to the commissioner activity reports, and I think we'll begin with Commissioner Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Last week was interesting because of the snowstorm. It felt like I spent a lot of time on Zoom meetings, but just wanted to say that on Wednesday we had a meeting with the Planning Commission. I think that went really well. We really discussed kind of our ongoing water plan and what that might look like, and some of the goals that we hope to achieve through that plan. So Planning Commission is always good because they're not shy about sharing their opinion, which is exactly what we want out of a board. And we just always have really good, robust discussions about how we can do our work. So really grateful for that. On Thursday morning, I had the Downtown Development Authority meeting. That was kind of in a lull of the snowstorm. And so we discussed work on new alleyways, some of the work that the DDA might do around finding land, banking for different possibilities, could be affordable housing, could be other kinds of opportunities in our community. So good discussions there. Then that afternoon, I was on a panel with a group called Atlas, and Atlas is a free online community that has information that local governments can access. So there's case studies and policies and all kinds of things, and you can look up and share. And so I was on a panel. The panel was the IIJA opportunity for modernizing public transit. So it was with transit and transportation folks from around the country, including Idaho, Iowa, Florida, Texas, and just some of the work that they're doing around transit, how to modernize transit to make it easier for people to access it, for people to make connections on transit, for transit to work smoothly. There was a lot of talk about electric buses that people had procured. We know City of Fort Collins has procured some as well, but bus rapid transit and some of the technology that can make transit better for both the people operating the transit and for the people taking transit. We talked a little bit about Front Range Passenger Rail and some of the rail opportunities that people have across the country. So it was really great to just share ideas, funding ideas, solutions. I mean, hydrogen buses is a new thing that some of these groups have employed, some of these transit authorities have employed. So really great discussion, was happy to be part of that, and learned a lot from our colleagues across the nation around about public transit. So if folks want to access the Atlas, if you have any things you want to look up, they have great information on infrastructure and other ways for cities and counties to get better. So great opportunity there. And then we had our all CCAT meeting. We are furiously trying to keep up with legislation as it comes out. There's a lot of legislation. I mean, when we're talking about greenhouse gases today and really reducing our greenhouse gas emissions and addressing climate change, there are a lot of good things in the legislature right now that deal with that, including funding of Front Range Passenger Rail, more density with housing, less parking around housing. So there are a lot of things that will address air quality, including more regulations on oil and gas production. And so we are, I think we're all furiously just trying to keep up and trying to make sure that we are giving our input on some of these really important issues that are coming up during this legislative session. Grateful for Shane Atkinson for helping us keep up with that legislation as well. So that is it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Shaddock McNally.
Again, I want to just thank Heidi and Abby and all the folks who put together a nice afternoon event for us just to come together and not only celebrate the milestone of going from working groups and making a plan to action groups and getting down to the work, but it was great to get to see some of these folks and the team that helped Heidi and Abby. I forgot their name, it was Josie and all of them, and I want to thank them for their partnership and their work, because it was nice to just when people give of their time, talent, treasures, and volunteer, even though it's part of their job, it's something for the county, but it's for all of us. And I think it was great to have a moment to thank them for giving of their time, and because a lot of them didn't have to be so invested, and they were. And so that just, again, as I stated before, gives me a lot of hope. Lots happening. I testified for our broadband bill for the county as we're working, and Representative Basenecker is sponsoring that bill. It did move out of committee, and it was great to see the great questions. And I want to just thank Mark Pfaffinger and our partners in Fort Collins, at Fort Collins Connection, and Pulse in Loveland, and also in Longmont. They have all given a lot of technical expertise and shown up to help testify. And we had some folks from the Western Slope that we hadn't contacted that jumped in and stated how important this bill is. And the reason I mentioned that bill is because I spent some time on Thursday as we have our CCI meetings and our CCAT meetings, and as we advocated for both organizations voted to support that bill as we move forward. And so a lot of work happening at the state legislature right now. Been on talking with a lot of state senators and stuff about this bill and trying to make sure we have a lot of support going forward. And that at this time taking a lot of time to monitor and keep up, and we're really grateful for Shane Atkinson and also from Stuart Jenkins, who's also doing a lot of work to help us keep up to speed on all these bills, because it's fast and furious. The last half goes pretty fast, but there's a lot happening as they're trying to get everything accomplished and across the finish line. And with the snowstorm and some of the activities last week, I just want to thank everyone for just helping us move to Zoom and keep rolling. And I want to, as we talk about the snowstorm real quick, I just want to take a moment and give a shout out to our colleagues in Teller County who are still in a state of emergency with their county. They've had several folks who have passed due to the storm, and so I know they're still trying to get to folks and dig out. And I think there are other small counties who are in the same boat in those higher altitudes. And I know a lot of counties are struggling, and even some commissioners are driving out with their sheriffs, going door to door, looking for folks and seeing how they can help connect, because even some commissioners weren't able to dig out over the weekend. And I want to just let them know we're thinking of them, and I'm sorry that they've had such extreme conditions and such trying circumstances. And I want to thank our Road and Bridge Department and our county staff, who sometimes we just take for granted when they come out and get the plowing done and work so hard and get things accomplished. And make sure everyone stays safe. I know some areas where our county got 0 snow, but I had almost 10 inches in my house, and I know up at Estes Park it had quite a bit, and even parts of Rock National Park was closed, and so it was varying conditions, but certainly I'm grateful for the work that our teams do to prepare for these things, and knowing how other counties have had quite the challenge. I just wanted to make sure I wanted to thank them all for their work, because it was it's a good reminder that we have some really good things in place and how important that is. I've had some meetings with some of the fire chiefs, and we continue to talk about the urgency for mitigation and how we can still continue to partner. And I want to thank Loveland Fire Rescue Authority for their partnership and their willingness to stay connected and have conversations. And the other thing I want to share with my colleagues, I'm sure Michelle Bird was in this meeting along with the sheriff, but we did have kind of the quarterly rec sport winter partnership meeting, and those efforts are moving forward. And so I'm hoping that we can get a kind of a condensed version update for our county. I had my National Association of Counties. I'm on the steering committee for energy, environment, and land use, and it was very interesting. Considering we have this climate future plan and how the things we're doing to fight climate change. And part of our meeting was from those folks from other parts of industry who are trying to share where they need to continue. And so it was an interesting, different perspective in that meeting. And I found it kind of, in the same week, having both conversations was really interesting. Commissioner Stevens and I both joined the Colorado Communities for Climate Action tabletop exercise, and that was very interesting for me to look at how these things might work. And we got some deep dive on planning and how one of the bills was 1313, how that would work and how that looks like, and we got to give some great feedback. And then, as always, it's always great to be with our Planning Commission and have that joint meeting, especially when we're talking about water. That we had a very robust and great conversation. And I thank Danielle and Leslie Ellis for their tremendous work there. I know this is not really being done anywhere else in the state with kind of the work that we're doing. And another exemplar of what I call the Larimer way, because we've had, again, just like the Climate Action Plan, just tons of partners who join in on that conversation and that work. And I think it's really important as we go forward. Again, just lots of meetings, and a lot of them are on Zoom. I had my Larimer County Interagency group meeting, and again, really important folks involved with all of that. I joined again, there was another meeting for the Colorado County Communities for Climate Action legislative policy meeting, and that was great to join and listen in on that. We also had our Office on Aging Advisory Council meeting, and that was mostly, I joined that on Zoom from a remote area, and it was great to listen to all the agencies that are working very hard to address food insecurity in older adults, especially Meals on Wheels and other folks, and the increase in need and kind of some of the things we need to be thinking about going forward. And I want to thank all those folks who worked so hard to reach out, especially during the snowstorm, to some of those older adults that were needing to make sure they have check-in and have their warm meals. And it's just a lot of tremendous work happening that, again, sometimes we need to kind of recognize and shout out, because it happens daily and we maybe take it for granted. And then Friday, we had our No Code Partners meeting. There's a lot happening in that group, looking at some of the new vision and messaging, and again, some of their work in what they call the DEIA, which is diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. And there will be we're going to have some more in-person meetings, but we're kind of wrapping up our visioning statements and coming up with kind of those next steps. And speaking of which, if you haven't, one of some of those activities that come out of those NOCO partner meetings was the timed entry. And now there's another step for those who haven't heard of this. Rocky Mountain National Park is doing a pilot program, and I went up the weekend before and grabbed my transponder. You can go up and purchase a transponder at the Beater Meadows visitor center, and you have to have a pass, an annual pass, so that's connected to the transponder, and you can put that on your car. And it's a pilot program for folks who want to be able to have a different way to get in the park than to be in line to go. It will be a side gate that will be up, but you have to have both of those things purchased. The transponder cost as well, and I'm going to participate in that and purchase my transponder. And I already always have my annual pass. It's a national pass, but if you're interested in that, you can go to the website or their social media and explain that. I think that's only available for a little while longer, and we'll certainly see how this works. But it will not be available for you to get through during 9 to 2 when you have the timed entry for certain areas from May to October. But the rest of the times it should be where you can come in and have, you won't have to talk to the ranger. You'll be able to go with the little drawbridge or gate thing that there. So that's really exciting. And I've joined the statewide Opioid Abatement Council data subgroup for looking at how we track our data from the opioid abatement settlements. And it's really tremendous work already happening. We got to see at Johns Hopkins kind of some of their website nationally, and then I got a sneak peek at what we're working towards with the state, and it'll be also related to what we're trying to do as a Region 2 here with our data collection, so the public can see how the money is being spent. And it's really exciting to see so many folks coming together, a lot of county commissioners working on this. I want to thank my colleague from Gunnison County, Commissioner Liz Smith, who has been kind of the driving force to even get the dashboard and things going. And she is really determined and done a lot of tremendous work here. And she and I are both data geeks in this, and so I'm really excited to be doing a little more involvement with that. And then I was very excited to join our Great Doors Outdoors Colorado Centennial Celebration. It was changed to being virtually because of the snowstorm, but I want to again thank and congratulate our Department of Natural Resources and Larimer County. We received a Centennial Award, which is $1.5 million towards our purchase of formerly called Heaven's Door, but really the Blue Mountain property that will be going through a stakeholder group process to be renamed, and it's going towards helping us kind of recoup some of those purchasing costs. But again, just a moment to join being recognized with other groups around the state for tremendous conservation work and the purchase of that property. And I look forward to our public getting a chance to maybe have some sneak peeks coming up this year. So stay tuned. That will probably be coming up soon, just before the property has a lot of work to still happen. As staff had shared, if you hadn't seen the public meeting yesterday, I think it was 100,000 pounds of construction that was avoided from being into the landfill. They were able to deconstruct some of the homes on the property and divert those, and have high school students and other folks to come out and help with the deconstruction. So there's workforce development, and also with our climate action, instead of just putting it in the landfill, a lot of these materials were able to be reused or recycled, and I think that's just tremendous work and aligns with a lot with our values. So again, I want to thank Department of Natural Resources, Megan and Dalen and Corey and Jen, all of them for just a job well done, and their staff just outstanding. And I think that's all I have to share. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Do Looks like I must have had a bit of a quieter weekend or week last week, but I'll just mention one of the advisory board meetings that I attended last Wednesday is the Ag Advisory Board. I serve as the liaison, and I think some relevant takeaways are, we now have a Ag Natural Resources specialist, Jess Callan, who has a lot of expertise in soil health. And so she provided an update, and she's doing a lot of really great things about building relationships with producers. But she eventually, I think at the next meeting, will be the taking over as the staff liaison for the Ag Advisory Board. She has developed a website, for example, with a shared calendar that talks about events that would be uh, important to agricultural producers. She did this really wonderful workshop, I think the end of February, Grant and Grow, and it was basically assembling all of these resources. It had a great turnout, and it was an opportunity for farmers and ranchers to learn what resources might be out there to help them with their work. We had a really good update from our solid waste director and our business manager. Dwayne and Alex came and gave an update on the solid waste, the landfill, and our diversion goals and activities. Uh, One of the things that we'll be looking at is updating what's called LISA. It's an acronym, and it was developed years ago, and it stands for Land Evaluation and Site Assessment. So I think we're going to move forward updating that. And I guess the last thing I'll mention is that Jess has also put together, and she shared that with the group, the Ag Advisory Board, to get feedback, a producer survey that will go out to food producers. And it looks like, based on some of the preliminary feedback, she was going to get that out this week, but she's delaying it another week so there's more time for input from the folks with lived experience growing things. So I believe that's all I have to share, and we don't have any legal matters. Therefore, at 10:31 a.m., we are adjourned.